Hi, I'm Ruve Creighton, and this is how to register with the City of Austin. Vendor registration is managed by the Financial Services Department of the city, and I've been a member of that for nearly 16 years at this point. I've learned a lot of the tips and tricks on how to register and maintain your account, and so through this process, I'll share some of those with you. Feel free to post any questions that you have in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer them all at the end. All right, let's get started. So you register with the city on our Austin Finance Online website. This is also going to be where you maintain your account, as well as looking at solicitations and other financial information about the city. So throughout this presentation, we're going to walk you through the steps of how you complete your registration. Now, before you start, it's important to search for previous registrations, especially if you work for a company that may have had other users in the past, or even if you yourself were just interested in registering before, but maybe you got distracted with some other element of your business and you had to move on. The system only allows you to have one account per tax ID. So if you've ever started a registration before, it's not going to let you do a new one. So we recommend checking first to make sure that you can find that existing account and get into it if you need to. Now I'm going to demo this slide for you, how you would look for a previous registration. And if you found yourself in there, then you would just contact the vendor registration team either by email or by phone number. The email is vendor@austintexas.gov, and the phone number is 512-974-2018. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that demo now. Now this here is Austin Finance Online when you first go to it in your web browser. So I don't know why it took us there. I must have clicked something accidentally. But as you can see, it has budget information and a whole lot of stuff about how the city's doing financially. Now, to look up your account and see if you're already registered, you would go to the procurement section and then to vendors. And under there, you can go to searches. So we have a lot of different searches listed, and you can use these to find information about your competitors or about what we've purchased in the past, what the history of our usage with commodity codes are. There's a lot of good info there. But to look for previous registrations, you're going to go down, and let me make this a little bit bigger, and you'll find the vendor search. So from there, you can search by business name. All right, and in this field, you would type the name of your business. Now, if you're a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC, this field is going to be looking for the owner's name, so you would want to type that in. Otherwise, you can just type in the name of the business. Now, say I'm a City of Austin employee and I feel like the city needs to be registered. I can come in here and type in let me spell it correctly, City of Austin, and hit Find Matching Vendors. And it'll show me that the city has a few registrations. So at this point, when I find something that looks like it could be a match, I would contact vendor registration and ask them to help me figure out which of these accounts belongs to me, and if these accounts are even necessary to still be open. Now, if I find it and I have an idea of what the login may be, I would just come over here to the top right-hand corner and click the button that says Sign In. And then I would be able to log in here. As you can see, it remembers my login, so maybe you'll be so lucky. One nice thing about the AFO site, if I just click anywhere in here, is that these buttons always are right here in this top right hand corner. So from wherever you are, you can go ahead and sign in, or if you feel like you're brand new and you didn't find yourself in that previous registration search, you could go ahead and click Create Account. All right, let's pop back into the presentation. All right. So, as I said, if you weren't there, if you don't have an existing account, you can go on to create one. So, it's pretty straightforward. The first thing it's going to have us do is create user information. Now, this is going to be the information of the person actually creating a user account. So, you don't need to put your business info here just yet. So, it would be you. In this case, I put myself, my email address, etc. You are required to create a username and a password, and both of those need to be between 6 and 24 characters and use a combination of letters and numbers. Now, once we log in, it'll take us to our user dashboard, and we'll have our brand new account, and there will be a section on the page called vendor registration, and you have to click start here to continue and go on to register. Now, this is a step that people get hung up on sometimes, because if you notice on our last step, we created our user information. Here we are on our dashboard, and we already have a vendor number right here. And here's our username, and here's the vendor number, V00961253. Right? So a lot of people get to this step and think that they've finished, but no, we've got to click start here and keep going. You also want to make sure that you confirm your email address as you're going through, because if you don't, this will stop you from submitting your registration at the end. All right, next it's going to ask us for business information, and this image is a little bit small, so I'm going to go ahead and take us right into the demo portion of this. All right, so we're back on Austin Finance Online, and as I mentioned, we can start our account from any page on here. So I'm going to click the Create Account button in the top right. All right, and from here I can start adding my user information. I'll add myself, my email. Phone number is not required, but it can be helpful to add it. And that's my phone number. If you're real fast, you can write it down and reach out if you need me. I hope that's under 24 characters. All right, and then our password. So from there on, I'll go ahead and hit submit. All right, and now I'm in my user dashboard. So it wouldn't really let me highlight much on the PowerPoint, but here I can see here's my username, and then this is the vendor code I was talking about. So it's already gotten us started on our way to being a vendor, but we'll need to go ahead and go under vendor registration and click start here to keep going. All right, so across the top, it lets us know which step we're on. We have 5 steps to get through, and I'm going to take you through all of those. This first one is for business information. So what it's referring to, of course, is our company name, the information that might be on our W-9, an alias if we have it, and then our tax ID. We're also required to upload a W-9 form. Now you want to start from the top and work your way down, because the nice thing about this business structure field is if you choose the correct one for yourself, I'm going to register. I'll just register myself. Then as you can see, it changes which fields are required. So an individual would need to put their first and last name. A corporation would just put their legal company name. So it tries to guide you in what fields are required. So let's do this as an individual. Okay, now I chose individual, so I probably don't have an alias or a DBA, but if I did, I could go ahead and enter that there. Then I would enter my tax ID number. And then just a piece of guidance, even if you are an individual, you would be putting your social in here. If you're starting a business and you know the name of it would be a good opportunity to go ahead and get your EIN with the IRS. I believe it's a phone call or a form to get it. And then you could enter that in instead of your social. We do keep everything secure and we mask these numbers for all but a handful of people. But I don't know, it's just something to be aware of. Next, you'll need to upload a W-9 form, and this is required in order for you to submit your registration at the end. So we'll go ahead and select a file. All right. And then we would say if we were certified by another agency in Texas, for instance, if you were Hub certified or certified in Dallas or San Antonio, you could identify that. You also can enter your gender and ethnicity. This is especially important if you're planning to become certified as a City of Austin vendor. There's a presentation on that as well that's will have a lot of good information. I'll go ahead and check mine. And then if you are a veteran, a disabled person, or a City of Austin employee, you would want to identify that as well. So this information is just letting you know that if you are already Hub certified, we do compare our vendor list to the Hub list. So we would pull that information in for you. And maybe you got Hub certified, but you haven't gone through the city certification yet. You would still be included in the notifications that are sent just to certified staff. Certified vendors, since we know that you are Hub certified already. So this is just letting you know that we're checking that. And then finally, if you are a service-disabled veteran business enterprise, you would mark that. And if you're certified through the NGLCC, then you would go ahead and mark that as well. Once you are done, you would hit Save Changes. And this will take us to step 2. So this one's pretty straightforward. You're just providing your address. You have to provide 2 addresses, one for sales and one for payments. Your sales address will be the address where contracts and purchase orders would be sent to. In regards to your email, it would be where solicitation notifications went. And then your payment address would be where checks were sent. So if you just have the one address, then you can just have both boxes checked and enter it all together. If you have 2, then you can uncheck one and then just do your sales and then do your payment separately. Maybe you have one address, but you have 2 different people who manage the sales and the payment side. I'll show you a little trick to make data entry a little bit easier for that. So let's assume that that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to leave sales and payment checked. It brought over my name and my email, and I believe my phone number from the user info, and I'll leave those like that for now. And then I'm going to enter my address. And I need my city, my state. It defaulted to Texas, but it's easy to change. And I have to enter my county. Okay, and then my zip code. Now this county field, there are a lot of counties in Texas, and if you don't tap into it, it's going to start you at A and you'll have to kind of scroll through. You can type the first 2 letters and it will take you to the county you need, so it makes it a little easier that way. Once I'm done, I'm going to hit Save and Continue. Okay, and then I had mentioned a little trick if I needed to use one address but 2 different contacts. When I hit save, it took me right to step 3. But if I ever want to get back to any of these sections, over here under vendor info, I can go back to my business section or the addresses section and the other ones as we get to them. So now I'm just going to go back to address. Okay, and I mentioned that you needed the two addresses, sales and payment. So even though it gave us one page, it did create two different addresses. We can see they have different IDs. So we want the location to be the same, but maybe I'm going to have someone else handle payment. I don't think I would in real life. All the stories people have about that going wrong. But I'll go ahead and change this one to a coworker. And then I would set up her email. Okay, typed correctly. I would enter in her phone number. And then you see by doing it that way, I didn't have to mess with this stuff. I just had to change the few fields that were different. All right, so now when I'm ready to get back to step 3, and that's the other thing, when you're in the process of registering, you're going to see this bar at the top of your page, no matter what step you're on. So you'll know like, oh, I haven't quite finished yet. I need to go back and keep going. So I'm going to go back to that section. All right, and here I am on my step 3. So I'll add my NAICS codes here. And this is going to correspond to the service industry that I work in. So let's see. Just entered a keyword in the search field. And then it brought up a couple of options. I'm going to choose this one. You want to make sure that you choose one that corresponds with what you do. And the other nature of this search is if you already know the exact code, and you can just look it up by that exactly, and it will pull up exactly what you need. Okay, so then I'll say save and continue. And it took me right to step 4. All right, so the NAICS codes correspond to the type of industry you're in. The commodity codes are more specific. We use NIGP codes, which is the National Institute of Government Procurement. These are the same codes used by the state. So if you've looked into HUB certification or you are HUB certified, you can add those codes here. If you haven't gotten HUB certified yet and you plan to get certified with the city, do your city certification first because they will recommend you to HUB and it'll save you all the paperwork. That's a little tip, but sometimes people have already started with the state. So let's see. So up here, we can either do keyword searches to find things that we need. So I will do test and hit look up. Okay, and it will give me a variety of different codes. So as I scroll through, we can see a lot of these start with 0. If I go all the way down to the bottom, I will find codes that start with the number 9. So all of the services will start with the number 9. So if I looked for test, anything that's not a 9 is going to be for an actual good. So something to do the test, not actually testing. Like here, pavement testing and data collection equipment. It's not for the actual action itself. So that's a good thing to consider when you get like a long list of search results, is that you can always go to the bottom and look through the services. All right, if I go back up to the top, that was using the keyword search, but maybe I want to cast a broader net than that. I can use drill down commodity lookup. So using this is going to take me through the different types of commodities through words. So I can decide right off the bat, do I want goods or do I want services? So I'm going to look up services. All right, then it's, which area is it in? Is it construction? Is it non-professional or professional? Non-professional and professional get a little confusing because we're all professionals, right? But for this code separation, it's considering professional things that the state requires I think licenses or certifications for. So if I click in this, it's going to be architecture, engineering, those types of services. So if you're not in either of those categories, you're going to fall under non-professional for services. All right, and then we have a lot to choose from once we get in here. So you would go through this list and find the one that best fit you. I'm going to go under educational services. All right, and then I get down to the actual codes themselves that I'm able to select. And the reason why I like this method when you're not really sure of what you want just yet is because, say, I feel like I can do all of these things. I can just check all of these boxes, add them to my account, and then I'll be notified whenever there are solicitations or opportunities in any of these things. I think when you're first starting out, I would really say that more is more when it comes to commodities, because you never know which type of service might be needed at any given time. And as you get more familiar with the solicitations and with what the city needs, you can kind of curate that list and narrow it down so that you're only getting the ones that you want. So under educational services, this is quite broad. I don't know if I would recommend that in here, but the other nice thing is once you're in here, you can just start checking everything that applies to you. And you just kind of work your way through the list of everything that you feel like your business can provide. And once you were finished, I don't know, I'm getting too into these commodity codes. Once you feel like you're done, you'll go to the bottom of the page and you would either hit Save Selected or Save Selected and Continue. So this one, if I hit that, then it's just going to take me right back to the search. It takes me to the drill down, but I could also go in and do just a regular commodity search. Maybe I feel like I can do some reporting. Then again, my business, I guess I've decided, only does services. So I would go down to the 9 and identify whatever reports I felt I could provide. Okay, and then once I was ready, I would hit save and continue searching. And you can keep doing that until you have all the codes that you think you need. You also can call us at vendor registration and we can help you figure out which codes best apply to you. I know over in one of the lounges, they have some commodity spin data. So you can take a look at which commodities we use the most often over the years and kind of work from there and see what falls in line with your business. All right. So now we're at verify. So it has a memorandum of agreement that's just saying that you understand that it's your responsibility to maintain your information and that we'll use it to notify you and potentially on contracts and payments. This is your opportunity to go through and make sure that everything's correct. This is especially important of your business information because once we approve you as a vendor, you won't be able to change this yourself. You'll have to contact us in order to get it fixed, and we'll require you to fill out forms. So if you check any issues early before you submit, before it gets approved, then you'll be able to fix them on your own. All right, so once I've made sure that I'm happy with everything in here, then I can go to the top and hit I agree and submit. All right, and now my registration is pending approval. Now, you may have noticed that I registered as myself. And the W-9 that I submitted was the City of Austin. So I brought us through the demo, but I do want to highlight some of the W-9 requirements because that's an area where people can get hung up. So the W-9, when I started working with it, it was 4 pages, 3.5 of them were instructions. So that's a lot to read. And now the W-9 is 6 pages with 5.5 pages of instructions. So the information they ask for feels very straightforward, like, what do I need to read that for? You're just asking me my name, my business name, etc. No, there's a lot in there. And so to try to help everyone, we do have a document that's on our website that can help you understand how to fill out the form. Things to be aware of, it has to be signed. We prefer manual signatures, but we have been accepting digital during the current pandemic. We do need the most current version. My screenshot is old. The most current version is from December 2018, and so we'll need that version. Part of the reason why for that is because, as I mentioned, they change it periodically. I think when I started, there were 4 business structure categories, and now there's, what is this, about 7. So they've expanded it over time. All right, this is the chart that I mentioned. And so I believe it's on our website, but we can always provide it as well if you reach out to us. It basically breaks down whatever your business structure is, what should be on each line of the W-9 form. So this is based solely on the instructions themselves. And if you ask us to, we can point it out where it is. And we've been asked to verify that before, but it tells you what should be on line 1, on line 2, etc., so that you know which one to choose. All right. So we've gone through that part. Since we're in here, I'm going to go back to the home page. Now, as long as your W-9 is correct, your account should be approved within typically a business day, and my team is really on top of getting those reviewed and taken care of. And then if you need any other changes, you would log back in here. And over here on the left-hand side, you could go back into your addresses and maintain your email addresses as needed. And also, like I said, you can add commodity codes. I know a lot of people, when they first go through the registration, they just add a few because they want to get it finished. But later on, you can come back and explore a bit. There's a session on navigating Austin Finance Online that I believe shows you how to use the contracts list to look at commodity codes there, and some of the other features on the site that can really help you understand what codes to add, what kind of business we're looking for. All right. So that is pretty much registering with the city, and a little tiny walk through what your account looks like after you have. We can go ahead and take questions. And then if you think of something later that you want to ask us, then here we go. You can contact vendor registration and we'll be happy to assist. There's about 4 of us, so we're pretty on top of things, if I do say so myself. So you'll email us at either vendor@austintexas.gov, or you can call at 512-974-2018. All right, I think we'll switch to live so we can do questions now.